What's up, guys? Welcome to Chasing Pelagics. My name is Jeff, and this is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, May 26th, bringing you the latest, greatest information out the water each and every week. Quick look at our current weather. We've had this June gloom, May gray going on for the better part of a week now. And frankly, it's really starting to annoy me. It's the worst thing about California. But as you can tell, we've had partly cloudy skies. Get into some sun and a little bit warmer temps, but then it seems to be a repeat of the same thing. So, quick look at our wind model here. Let me drop a picker, and we'll get this thing fired up here. So this is Thursday morning here. We got, light winds from the south. Seems to be the pattern lately, and then going a little bit more west on Friday. Really light wind conditions, which is looking great. And as we get into Saturday, slowly here, Saturday morning things start to take a little bit turn back to this eddy pattern that we've had for the better part of the week, which is going to bring those overcast skies, occasionally light drizzle. And as we get into Saturday evening, things really start to get away here, especially on the outside. And we got back up to 17 and 20 knots again. And looks like this pattern kind of holds through the remainder of Sunday and back into Monday. So you really have to choose where you want to go fishing on the outside. Maybe down south, maybe not a good choice. But we'll get all into that. So make sure you check out your local marine forecast, also available right here on 17foot.com. As you tell, this is the overcast stuff that we're talking about here. That's going to be really affecting our charts the most. We do have some tropical depressions going on, which, although look unlikely to form into anything significant at this point, but good early season reminders that we want some summertime action to come. But our inshore forecast right now for marine conditions isn't looking too terrible until, like I said, Saturday night things just start bumping up 2 to 4. And then Sunday, they start to get away from us 4 to 5. And then obviously Sunday night's worse. Offshore, similar things going on. Saturday night, northwest 3 to 6. So those are the things that you want to be concerned about if you're on a private boat, sport boat. This is on the edge, depending on the size of the boat, of whether they're going to want to fish or not, or depending on where they go. So keep all that stuff in mind. Now the charts. Man, this is what we got going on here. This is currently the 8-day chlorophyll chart, and I'm going to give you a peek at the 3-day. That's the sea surface temp. Give me the 3-day chlorophyll chart. So this overcast, guys, has really been blocking the satellites, so we're not really getting a great view of what's going on as far as ocean surface temperature-wise. But we can kind of get an idea of what we got here. So we do have some cleaner water coming down the middle. The 8-day chart gives you a little bit more reach here, but not much. So basically dirty water west of the islands for sure. And then we do have a bit of clear water pocket down here, which is what I'm really particularly interested in. But again, this is the 8-day chart, so things have changed a lot since then. So this is an average 3-day sea surface temperature chart. We do have some warming water coming up here, especially along the coastline, 65 degrees. So this wind isn't really affecting the beach areas and creating the upwelling that we were seeing before. Eddy conditions help warm up those water temps like what we talked about last week. So the inshore water temps are not hurting whatsoever. Decent water temps at Catalina, 63, 64 almost in here. So that's looking a lot better. And then San Clemente Island is it's cold, and I'll tell you firsthand. So, quick before we get into more of the fishing, I'll give you a rundown from my trip. I took a trip out on the Amigo. Unfortunately, Jeff and Mark both ended up with COVID. So, in the interest of the safety of their passengers, Brian, the second from the Thunderbird, ran the boat for the weekend and did a great job. We started off fishing San Clemente Island. Back over here on the west side, about halfway up, there was quite a few other boats in there. The Fury was there. The Thunderbird was there. The Freedom was there, and there's a couple private boats in there too. But everyone was started up really, really tight on the kelp line, trying to get after that sea bass and yellowtail that had been in here. We did have squid. We were also able to make squid. Also, we were able to float it up. Kind of depends on the location that you're at. The section that we were in, no problem floating it. The sea lions were a little pesky, so every time they swim up, sometimes they knock it down. But you know, that's what happens when you're making squid. As far as the bite went, man, the backside conditions were not good. Green, dirty water, turned over, cold. Water temp is about 60. The entire backside. We didn't really get anything going whatsoever in the morning. Of all the boats that were sitting there, we're all pretty tight. 3 of them were really tight together on one particular spot, and they scored a couple sea bass and a couple yellowtail. But no, that was it. I caught an 80-pound black sea bass on a dropper loop right on that gray light, and that's all that we had. Nothing wanted to bite whatsoever. So the boats kind of split up. Pretty much everyone else went north, trying to go to the dunes up that way to see if they have better luck with the squid. We elected to go south and come around the island through Pyramid Cove. Water was still a little dirty in Pyramid, but it looked better. But the current just was going the wrong direction and didn't really set up any good conditions for us. We did meter a couple of schools on the sonar, threw bait at them, zero reaction. We came up the front side. The water was cleaner, and once we got to about Persane, the current was definitely better. Lots of bait. We saw bait boiling up the whole inside, but you know, you never saw bass boil on it. You know, couldn't get any yellows to go whatsoever. Again, we stopped multiple times on sonar schools, threw bait at it, zero reaction. And that was pretty much it for the day. We headed to the end of the island, and we ended up doing some rock fishing, and called it a day. No, that was pretty much it. So, but as far as conditions go, I mean, that green water and cold water is really going to keep things simmered down here for a while until things start to change, and it's really going to take this wind to chill out a little bit. So we'll see what happens with that. That being said, because of this, fishing is really, really, really spotty. You're going to see a lot more boats trying Santa Barbara Island and also San Nick, while the wind is light, trying to scratch a couple together there. But it seems like the results are pretty similar. Occasional sea bass and yellowtail. Finished the day, rock fishing somewhere. But all in all, the conditions are just not that great at the islands right now with what we got going on. Catalina is kind of the last hope here. You have a chance at sea bass. There is commercial squid guys catching squid last week, so no guarantees that they're going to be at the front of the island, but they have been making squid anywhere from Silver Canyon around the back to Ben Weston. They've been making squid as well, even down to Orange Rock. So if you want to make squid, or you want to set up on some of these squid nests to fish sea bass, you got to have a food source. So hopefully you got squid somewhere nearby. Rafting birds, those are the birds that are floating there, kind of in a group together, but you don't really know why. It's because there's usually bait underneath them. And then when they get hungry enough, they swim down and they pick at it. So you're not going to see those diving birds like you typically see with fin bait. Squid's pretty slow moving, so they just kind of hang out. Look for those birds, and then you're going to want to set up in an area that has conditions. So you want to see a little bit of current. You want to see that kelp slid back. That's the first start. And if you got some of that creamy, milky water, which you might see with these wind conditions with some upwelling on the backside, on the east end over here, through Palisades, through Pinnacles, all the way to Silver Canyon. Those are good areas that you might want to set up to do some sea bass fishing. But when you set up, again, you gotta stick to the plan. You gotta be anchored up. You gotta throw a little bit of chum. It's gotta be like cut squid is fine, like little pieces. Maybe throw an occasional big one here and there. but you got to work that area. Make sure you got current. When you get all these things lined up, you got a good chance of predators coming to the boat. But sea bass fishing is one of those things you got to stick it out. It's not a run and gun situation most of the time. It's hours of boredom followed by moments of chaos. So that could be 5-6 hours of sitting in there, nothing going on. All of a sudden, then you got a triple or a quad hookup. Man, things are going wild. So don't be afraid of fishing. Your rods in the rod holder. The little boat action is usually all the action that those baits need to really get it going. And again, dropper loop, lead head, maybe a slider if you want to, but you got to get all those things to line up to make the magic happen here. And June 15th, limits go to or June 16th, pardon me, limits go to 3. So if that stuff's still around, then it can really get cracking. But I'd save my gas money going to any far island destinations if I was running my own boat right now. I just didn't seem warranted. Maybe it changes in a week, maybe 2. I got another trip in 2 weeks from now, so hopefully things brighten up a little bit on that front. But that's what we got going on. As far as the tuna fishing goes, we're getting to the point now where water temps are starting to creep up 62, 63 degrees up here. And there's reports of tuna being sighted up at the 181. Another boat thought that they saw them returning from the island by the mackerel bank. So even if you're not planning on fishing tuna and you happen to go to the island, make sure you got a jig stick ready to throw something at them. If you happen to come across them and you get enough of a chance to pull up on them, that might be a little bit of a game changer. Again, not if you happen to see these things, there's not going to be a ton of volume of fish. This is just some of those early schools there checking things out and maybe coming back. Might see them for a day or two and then bounce out. So we'll see what happens there. Further down south, let me switch to the bottom detail here. It's a little bit more useful than the rest of the stuff that we're seeing. But further down south, early in the week, we still had that fishing coming in, going on. Ensenada, 238, the lower finger, Wanda Bank, all this fishing was really happening. Being pretty active. This is where all the sport boats are fishing, a long ways from home, which I particularly like it when it's like that. Sport boats got their room to fish, and then private boats got their room a little bit closer to home to fish. And we had fish, again, from the 238 all the way up, to the 302, 226, along the west side of the canyon. And since then, all the boats that were down, all the sport boats that were down here fishing this stuff, they really weren't finding any of those big tuna anymore. A lot more schoolie size, anywhere from 30 to 60 pounds, really. They weren't seeing much bigger than that. So about Sunday, most of them slid up here to the north after the Marlin Club finished their tournament. And again, these guys were finding the bigger grade stuff over here near San Salvador Knoll. Basically east of the Butterfly and west of the 371. I like these edges right here. This little V-notch always seems to really attract fish. So keep an eye out for those areas if you're trying to go after a big one. Same results and techniques that we've been using for the entire season. Daytime, if you're on a sport boat, sinker rig, you don't want to fish 80 pound. I wouldn't fish anything, maybe 60 if you're feeling pretty comfortable with your drag settings. You're not going to get broke off, but 60, I'd recommend 80 pound for a sinker rig. And then also your favorite jig of choice is also a good way to catch them on a sport boat. Private boats, the usual kite stuff, flying fish, lures, spreader bar seems to be getting a lot more and more popular. Less work to put up the kite without the helium and all that. So spreader bars are a good choice and a good way to find those fish that are on the surface as well and try and get a reaction out of them. And then let's talk about the Coronado Islands. This water's still a little bit green turned over, and you find that most of the 3/4 day boats are still going to be sticking to this offshore stuff. San Salvador Knoll is still in their range, so it's a little bit far for them. But when you got good quality, great fish, that's what they're going to go after. The islands have not been particularly awesome by any means. Still finding a couple yellowtail on the west side, on the weather side of the islands. So if that's your choice, that's where I would be looking. Most of the fish found this week was very little signs of stuff on the surface, trolling a live mackerel or a rapala in a mackerel color. Shocking. And that's the easiest way to really locate those fish. Now, once you got them hooked up, chum it, and then try and get that school to stick with you. And usually you can turn that one into 2, 3, 4, whatever. But you got to have a game plan and make sure everyone on your boat is dialed into what the plan's going to be. And sometimes if you get a hook up on a rapala, don't stop instantly. Troll for like another 15, 20 seconds, see if you can get another one. Don't just slow down instantly. But that's what I would be planning for this weekend if you're going to be out. But again, watch your weather window. Also, on that note, we've been stocking West Coast Jiggerz in our online store. We did a drop last Thursday night, and we've sold, I'd say, probably 80% of them already. We will be adding more inventory to the store, hopefully sometime next week when we get some more inventory. But look forward to that. And then also we'll be bringing Jig Profishing to our store also. We got some really nice jigs. If you didn't see, we got the Katy Perry blue and pink edition, specifically made for us California guys coming. And then there's a little red crab jig coming too. So be on the lookout for that. We'll let you know when it's available in the store on our Instagram typically, and then also here on the show. So that's it. Thanks for the support, guys. Have fun out there on the water, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out our website and online store at chasingpelagics.com. And make sure you share the stoke.